Good morning and welcome to Rising. We've got a great show for you today. We'll parse through MSNBC's spat with Elon Musk, and Trita Parsi will discuss U.S. policy goals to weaken Russia and the implications of that.
But let's first get to the news that is blocking out the sun. Protests broke out last night at the Supreme Court after a leaked draft opinion written by Justice Samuel Alito to overturn Roe v. Wade was published by Politico. Alito writes in the draft opinion, quote, "We hope that Roe and Casey be overruled. It is time to heed the Constitution and return the issue of abortion to the people's elected representatives." Casey refers to the 1992 case, Planned Parenthood v. Casey, that largely maintained the protections of abortion rights put in place by Roe.
The SCOTUS blog confirmed on Twitter that the leaked document is almost certainly an authentic draft, and while Alito believes at least 5 members of the court have voted to support overruling Roe, does not reflect the comments or reactions of other justices. The draft shows that the court is looking to reject Roe's logic and legal protections, which is now based on the right to privacy, but Alito's opinion argues the Constitution does not actually protect privacy. The court's holding will not be final until it is published, most likely in the next couple of months. Dean of the UC Berkeley School of Law, Erwin Chemerinsky, joins us to discuss. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
So talk to us a little bit about, this is I think, seems like a novel situation to many people. I understand it's happened in the past, the leaking of a draft. Talk to us a little bit about that. So this is not set in stone, and this is just, one justice's opinion, but it implies that he had broader support. Is there a history of this kind of thing happening?
No, this is unprecedented. The Supreme Court prides itself on its secrecy. Occasionally, after a decision comes out, we learn of the internal deliberations that led to it. But have an entire draft published in advance, that, to my knowledge, has never happened before.
So substantively, what's at issue here? Obviously, the right to privacy has been the basis for other kinds of protections. What does it mean beyond the scope of even abortion if the court decides that there is, in fact, no right to privacy in the Constitution?
It's a great point. The Supreme Court has safeguarded many liberties under the right to privacy: the right to marry, the right to procreate, the right to custody one's children, the right to keep the family together, the right of parents to control the upbringing of their children, the right to purchase and use contraceptives, the right of competent adults to refuse even life-saving medical treatment, the right of consenting adults to engage in same-sex sexual activity. If you follow the reasoning from Justice Alito's draft opinion, then none of these rights would be protected by the Constitution. It seems hard to believe the court could pull this thread without unraveling the whole fabric of constitutional protection of privacy.
Founder of the Civil Rights Corps said that this draft could create a scenario in which Republicans could pass a nationwide ban on abortion in 2024, as well as make contraceptives and the like illegal if the issue is kicked to Congress. Now, my understanding is this will, the first thing this will do is really turn the issue back to the states, and then my understanding is that there's a number of states that already have something in place that the second Roe v. Wade is overturned, those states will prohibit abortion. And I guess that would be the fear that they could theoretically go further. So that's right. That's what would happen at the state level rather than at the level of the entire nation.
You're absolutely right. What this decision, if it comes down, would say is that the issue of abortion is left to the political process. Initially, that will mean that it's up to each state. There are states that already have laws on the books that prohibit all or almost all abortion. And there are states that have laws on the books that say if Roe is ever overruled, then abortion will become illegal. I'd estimate that over half the states will prohibit all or almost all abortions. But other states, like California, New York, and Connecticut, will continue to allow abortions. But I predict in states that prohibit abortion, they'll quickly adopt laws trying to make it a crime for a woman to leave the state for an abortion. They'll try to prohibit methods of contraception, like the IUD or the morning after pill, that act after conception. But something else you said at the beginning is also right. Congress could try to pass a law with a Democratic Congress to create a national right to abortion, or the Republican Congress to prohibit all abortions. And then the question will be, would the Democrats or the Republicans be willing to change the filibuster rules to adopt such a bill?
Yeah, it seems like then that's an escalating or snowballing, really bitter national political dispute, I mean, then you could theoretically bring in, well, the party in charge could expand the Supreme Court, and then the party that takes over could impeach all those justices, or just further expand the Supreme Court.
Well, it's
end up with a Supreme Court, and we could end up with a Supreme Court with as many members as the House.
Well, look, it's certainly not unprecedented, as I'm sure the dean can attest to. The idea that at least the threat of expanding the court has been used to curb, whether or not, whatever your political orientation is, curb what the administration, the ongoing administration feels like is an overreach. And there's even a bigger conversation happening right now as to whether or not we should have judicial review at all, and whether judicial review is really in the Constitution as a principle. What do you make of that, Dean?
Well, let me say first, I think it's so important to emphasize what you've just said. Overruling Roe, if it happens, is going to intensify the political fight over abortion. It's going to be a huge issue in Congress, and therefore every congressional race. It's going to be an issue at the state level for every state legislature, state judicial races, even city council races. Now, in terms of expanding the size of the Supreme Court, that's going to turn again on the filibuster. So long as there's the filibuster in the Senate, no bill to expand the size of the Supreme Court will ever be adopted. In terms of the debate over judicial review, this will intensify the debate. Opinion polls show that over 2/3 of Americans don't want Roe overruled, and yet it appears that's exactly what the Supreme Court is poised to do.
Do you think the leaking of Justice Alito's draft, I mean, it's speculation, but is it an attempt to change what the outcome is going to be, to spook like a Kavanaugh or something from theoretically supporting this to maybe being against it because of blowback, something like that? I know it's just speculation.
I have no idea. Did it come from a liberal clerk or justice, or a conservative clerk or justice, or someone else in the court who got a copy? I wonder if we'll ever know who leaked it or why.
Well, according to CNN, Justice Roberts does not want to actually completely overturn the landmark Roe v. Wade, meaning he would dissent from Alito's draft opinion and most likely side with the court's 3 liberal justices. However, Roberts is willing to uphold banning abortion at 15 weeks. Recent CNN polling shows most Americans oppose SCOTUS overturning Roe v. Wade. 30% say they would like to see it overturned, while 69% opposed. And when the survey was done 3 times last fall, the support for overturning stood between 20 and 31%.
Democrats have come out against the bill, with House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer saying if Politico's report is correct, the Supreme Court poised to inflict the greatest restriction of rights in the past 50 years, not just on women, but on all Americans. Meanwhile, Senator Bernie Sanders tweeted that Congress must pass legislation that codifies Roe v. Wade as the law of the land in this country now, if there aren't 60 votes in the Senate to do it, must end the filibuster, as you said. Dean, I'm curious about what John Roberts is expected to do. He's carving a kind of more narrow ground, just him, that he would. Can you talk about the difference in what's expected from that he thinks about this?
This is what he suggested at oral argument: to uphold the Mississippi law, to allow states to ban abortions after the 15th week of pregnancy, but then to leave for the future laws that prohibit abortion even earlier in pregnancy, like at 6 weeks or the moment of conception. But remember, Roberts isn't needed by the conservative just to create a majority. Thomas, Alito, Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, and Barrett are sufficient to overrule Roe versus Wade. And the Alito opinion suggests that's exactly what they're about to do.
Well, Dean, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. We'll have more Rising right after this.